Kindness versus weakness. How do we get the balance? Here's my best effort at trying to find out exactly that in around 10 minutes. For those who are new here, a quick introduction. I'm Declan, a health copywriter and former NHS psychological therapist who, really, is just trying to find life balance. I mean, it shouldn't be so hard to achieve, right? The videos around here aim to help both of us aim for balance in life, even amongst all of the craziness that's outside of our control. I also create videos on copywriting and how to be an effective freelancer while working remotely. So if any of those sound mildly interesting to you, feel free to stick around. Anyway, let's get to the point of this video, which is kindness versus weakness. If somebody described you as kind, what would you think? Being called kind has some parallels with a man being praised as a nice guy, which in truth makes him burn inside. Reacting negatively to what sounds like a compliment may seem absurd, but there is a good reason. Nice guys finish last has been thrown around for years in reference to the supposed female tendency to prefer bad boys. Is it true that guys who are more unpredictable, dangerous, and exciting really get the girls? Well, the research itself is pretty sketchy, with studies reporting different outcomes in part due to the ambiguity of what nice actually means. Because for some, traits such as these come to mind: trustworthy, respectful, selfless, loyal, whereas for others, nice translates to being hesitant or shy, one who lacks strength and ambition, or perhaps the worst critique of all, being a downright bore. Clearly, deciding how nice you ought to be is a tricky business for men, but it's no walk in the park for women either. All girls' social groups can be just as, if not more, scathing and vicious than their male counterparts. Generally, there's less of the needless punching and kicking that blokes subscribe to, but there can be more of the verbal insults, gossiping, and shaming. A nice girl could easily find herself picked on at school, particularly if her peers see her as being a threat. Oh, she's too friendly and attractive. Who does she think she is? I'll show her the fake bleep. This is the kind of thinking that often hides behind a bully's cruel behaviour. So are we actually allowed to be nice, to be kind to others? Of course we are. Heroic acts such as rescuing your neighbour from a burning building would be very, very nice of you. You'd be saving their life, for Christ's sake. Yet the act is much more than nice. It's brave. No wonder being a firefighter is one of the most well thought of professions. Don't kid yourself into thinking that this good favour is due to the person showing kindness. The bravery is what we appreciate, demonstrating that the person is reliable and can lead by example. I know a few people, both men and women, who go back and forth between feeling proud of how kind they are and feeling inadequate, that somehow they're not tough enough, thinking that they should put themselves first more or be more expressive of their true opinions. And I'll get back to the topic of true opinions in a minute, but first I want to reflect on a little of my personal dating history. Go on then, fetch the popcorn. Now, I was a shy kid. I mean, like, the shyest. And honestly, I didn't mind to start with. I didn't feel the need to say too much. It was only when I got labelled as the quiet one, or when I was given the borderline affectionate term of mute, that it started to get to me. By society standards, apparently, being shy was no great thing. My parents and I had a running joke for years that when we'd open my annual school report, we'd count how many teachers wrote the likes of, "Oh, he's very quiet in class," or "he should get more involved." This was despite my grades being anywhere from good to very good to excellent. I was a decent student, respectful, polite, all of the nice words mentioned earlier. Okay, I'm rambling a little here, so let me get back to the dating. In my teens, I was pretty hopeless at the whole talking to girls thing. Not entirely useless, but let's say there was plenty of room for improvement. I'd be fine if someone spoke to me. I could usually hold a person's interest, no problem. It was the small talk that made me cringe. I really didn't care for the likes of, "How are you?" or "What are you up to?" I felt bored by this dialogue, in truth, and noticed people would often use such a question to pretend they were interested before redirecting the conversation to talk about themselves. I greedily wanted the juicier, more stimulating stuff, to skip the "he said, she said, and he was like, and she was like." But there were a couple of issues. Number one, I would wait for someone else to instigate a deep conversation, as if I needed permission. And number two, you can't just go from not knowing someone at all to jointly solving the meaning of life with them in 5 minutes. To my chagrin, I realized I had to adapt to have a chance. I forced myself to put up with small talk a little more, and I had to learn how to flirt. No kidding. Thanks, Real Social Dynamics, you crude yet very helpful resource. Most importantly though, I developed an ability to lead. Sure enough, my dating success, if you like, then improved considerably during my 20s. I became less fearful of opening conversations with strangers, despite still not really liking it much. I was able to make suggestions, plans, decisions. I found out that pretty girls have insecurities, just like plain old me. There was suddenly much less to be self-conscious about. Now, never did I go into full bad boy mode. God, I'd have sucked at that. Instead, I balanced good manners with a cheeky sense of humour. Women seemed to dig that more than Mr. Mute, so I carried on with the new approach. My style was never ever going to be swashbuckling, and that was fine, because I've never desired to be the look at me kind of guy. I don't know about you, but the idea of fame actually scares me more than it intrigues. So where does this leave us in the way of kindness versus weakness? I think it comes back to truth. That's the most important thing to get right. By being kind and nice to others, are you expressing your truth? Is this who you want to be? If so, then stick to it, my friend. You'll have much more respect for yourself this way. But if below the surface you resent yourself for being too nice and not forthright enough, then there's a cue to listen to. This could be a sign that weakness has crept in and is holding you back from your own truth. There are no perfect solutions, but I will say that if you want to make more money, be a better partner, etc., then you're probably going to need to make some compromises. I discovered that although I'm a quiet person by nature, I enjoyed the challenge of being braver by taking the lead sometimes. And this is because truly I value self-direction, and I wasn't able to express these aspects of my truth when I was the shyest kid in class. As for the small talk, yeah, I'm afraid it still does make me cringe. But anyway, in honour of life, death, and all the rest, Declan Davey. So, we've established that you probably want life balance. Seems like a logical thing to aim for, doesn't it? You can order the book version of these videos, which contains 13 different topics, and is available on Amazon, in Kindle and paperback. If you want to check out more videos on life balance, such as debating the contradictions of order versus chaos, success versus sacrifice, and strength versus pride, then keep track of the playlist in the top right corner of this video around about now. Over time, I'll be adding more content to this playlist. Also, you can scroll down and check the video description. You'll find a page with my recommended books for different aspects of life balance: financial, mental, physical, social, and spiritual. I'll also include a few resources and apps that I think are worth checking out for this whole life balance thing, such as Sounds True, Grammarly, Bear Mattress, Slowly, and Clever Fox's Budget Planner. A heads up, some of these will be affiliate links, so please don't hate me. Don't worry though, you won't pay any more by using a link, but do feel free to search for the resources on Google or wherever else instead. Anyway, that's all from me today.